Is a QR code and a bit.ly link on the bottom. And so the things I'm going to be sharing with you today, my intent is to share some of the things that we have done, not your grandma's book report, so these alternatives to book reports, sharing with you the examples of things that we've done, but on this bit.ly, if you go, and I can pull it up for you here, I'm kind of a fan of s'more pages. If you haven't ever played with s'more or tack pages, they are like my best friend ever. But basically, it's a digital poster or a digital collection of resources. So all the things I'm going to be sharing with you, there are resources, the web links to find these different things, the websites, the apps, tutorials of how to utilize them. All of those things are available on this s'more. So I may not go into quite as much of the how-to based on time, but a little bit of, I'm going to focus a little bit more on the what to do kind of things. But know that this resource is here. It's not only linked, like I said, on this front page, but also it's available through the resources for our presentation for iTech. So let's go ahead and get started. My name is Lynn Kleinmeyer. I am the teacher librarian at Lewis Central School District's Titan Hill Intermediate, which is a 2nd through 5th grade building. I'm over in Council Bluffs. It's not part of the Council Bluffs School District. It's actually everything south of I-80. In my building, I serve roughly 900 students. It fluctuates. Last year it was 950. It had dipped down to about 875, and we're kind of climbing back up. Like I said, 2nd through 5th grade, I have 37 regular classrooms that I serve in addition to other supports and things like that I do. Prior to my life as a librarian, I actually taught 7th grade reading for 13 years. So the ideas I'm about to share with you are things that I have done with that whole gamut. And there are some of these things that are maybe a little bit more elementary geared. There are some of these that could then very easily be modified for some of those older students. So, not your grandma's book report. So what's wrong with traditional book reports? Well, nothing per se, except for, traditional book reports, I think, were meant to kind of capture whether or not students were actually reading. And so that idea that, wanting to go further than that basic summary, not just having students regurgitate that summary that could be found on the back of the back cover of the book, but really truly going above and beyond and really truly engaging and building that literacy life. That's a huge thing at my school about talking about being a reader and building that literate life. And really, truly trying to shift ways that we can have our students demonstrate and to show us that they are living that literate life. Not just that traditional sense of sharing a book report and giving a summary, but maybe something that's a little bit more engaging, that's maybe a little bit more motivating, gives the students a wider audience to share their experiences with books. But still getting after that essence of those traditional book reports and really trying to measure comprehension just a little bit. So the ones, I've been talking to several friends today that this probably, of the 3 presentations I'm doing at iTech, was probably my most difficult one to do, only because there are so many great ideas out there. So what I tried to do is to go depth versus breadth. Instead of sharing a bunch of stuff with you guys and having you walk away with deer in the headlight looks, like, oh my gosh, that was a lot of information, I don't know which one to start with. I decided to kind of narrow myself down just a little bit to 6 basic ideas that I utilize quite a bit, especially this last year with those 2nd through 5th graders, and also provide a variety of modalities. Because it's not necessarily about any one app, it's not about any one website, it's not about any one tool. It's that you have lots of choices, and choices empowering and letting students share what they're learning. So, with that in mind, that's kind of my intent for today. So, starting off with my first pick for you guys. Bibliomania. Anybody in here ever used Bibliomania? Okay. If you have not, Bibliomania, anybody in here use Goodreads themselves? Okay, or another one of my favorites was Shelfari. Did anybody ever use Shelfari? I love Shelfari. Basically, Bibliomania is an online bookshelf. But unlike Goodreads and Shelfari, it's a little bit more protected, especially for those younger students. So it is a website. It is free. And that would be another thing I will share with you. Everything I'm sharing with you, I love free. So this particular one, it's kid-friendly. It's a website that's free. And you as an educator, you go in and you set up your account. You set up your classroom. And you set up student accounts. And you set up their profile. And you set up their password and things like that. Now the nice thing is, part of why Bibliomania is probably free, there are also parent accounts. So when you set up your student accounts, you can link a parent email and invite parents to set up accounts, which the beauty of that is, really truly talking about supporting and building that literacy life, parents can see what their kids are reading. Students can make wish lists and things like that via Bibliomania. But the real reason that I like it in particular is that idea that students, they get to rate and write reviews and share the books that they are reading with their classmates and with their teachers. So actually I'm going to switch here for just a second and kind of show you. When you log in to Bibliomania, it's kind of almost reminiscent of Facebook in that there's a main stream that shows up for students that has book promotion, which I love. Just a little side note, I know this is about book reports, and I promise I'll get there. But one of the things I do love is that it has that book promotion aspect for our students, that there's videos and there's featured books and things like that that kids can look at and read. But then as you create a class, each one of your students creates an avatar, and they get to pick this little, a lot of them, they pick all sorts of different ones. There's things that move and they think it's fantastic. But they then create a virtual bookshelf where they go on and they share with you what it is that they are reading. So here's an example of a student bookshelf. So it's got the wood bookshelf, and the students add the books that they like, and much like Goodreads or Shelfari, they can actually sort it. If you look at the green tabs, you've got all books that they want to read, favorite books, their finished books, their wish list books, so they can kind of organize their bookshelves, which is kind of motivating for students to be able to do. But then the part, and the reason I'm featuring this today, is the aspect of students can write reviews. And so this is a stream of one of my 5th grade classes. Now I don't use this in the library per se, because I teach all the 4th and all the 5th grade library classes at my school. So that's roughly 500 students, and that's a lot to manage. So this is actually something I support my teachers using in their classrooms, but the beautiful thing is, for those of you who are teacher librarians in the audience, they can actually add you as a teacher librarian. So you become part of their classroom and you can see what the students are reading and what they're putting on their shelves, and they can recommend books to you. They can do that kind of stuff. So I mean, it's very, very interactive as far as that goes. But with these reviews, now of course, if there's certain things that you are really wanting to look for in your students' reading, if there's something that you really want your students to be focused on, you can ask that of their reviews. So that's one of the things that I think is the most beneficial of this, is that you can ask your students for any book that they say that they have finished. There is actually a summary available, so you can then go beyond that summary to the recommendation, the what you got out of this book, who you would recommend it for, what you found to be the most engaging part. Say you're focused on characters, which was the most compelling character to you and why. You can kind of put your spin on it that you are looking for your students to share, but in a different format. The other thing I really like about this is, if you notice that there's this lovely tab right here for pending reviews. So you actually, it does not go live as a review until you as the teacher approve it, which I think that's pretty powerful, because you can go back and you can say, hey Jesse, you know, I love that you thought that story was really awesome, but let's go back and let's beef it up. What was so awesome about it? You know, and asking the students to really think about their experiences with Bibliomanium. So that one, Bibliomanium itself is, I think, a huge motivating factor, where not only are you asking the students to share their love of their books, but then they get that power to recommend it to other people. That authentic audience beyond you as the teacher alone is highly motivating, where they can share it to their classmates, they can share it to their parents, they can share it to the teacher librarian, they can share it with other people. I think Bibliomanium is fantastic for that side of things. Oh, absolutely. Please do. Please tell me.
If got multiple classrooms, can I share it with another teacher's classroom?
You can. There's a part where you, like if you were to add a book to your shelf, you can then click on the other groups that you are part of to add it to those shelves as well. So there is that capability. As far as the students go, actually that's a great question. That I don't know. I don't know if they have that ability to share outside of their closed group. So, but that's, like I said, that's one of the things I like the most. Goodreads and Shelfari, I had a little bit of a concern even using it with my 7th graders, simply for the fact that they then would have that access to Amazon. They have the access to outside readers, which is not necessarily a horrible thing, but you as the teacher aren't able to see unless you have all of their login and account information, and you're monitoring all of that. The potential for that, you know, was a little bit scary sometimes, not only for promoting it amongst teachers, but also for parents to get behind. They really love Bibliomanium because it's closed, which allows them to kind of experience, the students to experience that online sharing in a safe way.
What's your automation system?
I use Destiny.
Can you write the reviews on Destiny? Because we can do this on Alexandria, so I just wondered what. Okay.
Yep. Well, you can do it via like Destiny, your search system. You can go in and add student, and that's actually something I want to talk about.
Into Bibliomania.
No, I think are you talking about adding the reviews that students write?
Yeah.
Yes, and then you can take those and put them into your Destiny system, which is something. Yeah, I'll circle back to that later, but we're on the same wavelength. So, kind of wrapping up with Bibliomanium, are there any questions that people have as far as that one goes?
Yes. You had said teachers can set up their accounts. Can you walk the students through setting up their own account, or does it have to be teacher done?
The teacher has to be the one to set it up because it comes from the master list. So it is legwork on the teacher end to set it up. Versus like if you used Goodreads, you could have the student create their own account and then share whatever their login information that they've created. You know, so pros and cons to that. I mean, yeah, it's a little bit of extra work, but. All right, so that was Shelfari. And what this is just showing you is that, once again, that example, I was backing myself up in case the Wi-Fi was not cooperating. So, all right, next up, two of my faves, Chatterpix and TellEgami. These are two apps that allow students to capture an image and to do audio recordings. The benefit for this is your students who are those struggling writers, they now have a different way of sharing their experience with reading. Now I will tell you, Chatterpix Kids is iPad only. TellEgami is both, it's device androgynous. It can go to either iPad or Android. There are free versions that allow you to record 30 seconds. You do have to pay if you would like longer than that. And so the way that this works, actually with both Chatterpix Kids and TellEgami, I did not have to set up separate individual student accounts because each of our devices has that app for free. And so then with both of them, when my students utilize these, they actually then share theirs to the camera roll of that particular device, and then I can pull it off. So I don't have to worry about creating student accounts or anything like that. It's all done via the app itself on that particular device, which is awesome. So the thing, I actually really like the 30 seconds because it forces my students to have to really truly think about what they're going to share about their particular books. It really forces them, there's a lot of planning and pre-teaching that goes into it. We don't just hand them the device and say, okay, and go. We kind of prep them a little bit, thinking about, okay, what book are you going to talk about? You have 30 seconds, what are you going to say, planning it out, whether it's just in dot format or actually some teachers did utilize it as a chance to really practice writing paragraphs. But then we had them practice, and it was a wonderful fluency piece. If your schools are looking for ways to support student fluency, it was amazing because they had to really, truly practice what they were reading and go over it several times before actually recording them. So in essence, with both of these, with Chatterpix, what you do is, and I guess I won't necessarily show you this way, just because it would be hard for everybody to see. Basically what you do is you open up the app and you take a picture, and then after you've taken the picture, you draw a mouth, and then you record yourself. And what it does is called Chatterpix because your pic then has a mouth that moves. And whatever you've recorded for that 30 seconds then talks. Now you can add stickers and you can add text and things like that to your presentation. So this is one we utilized quite a bit actually. I love it because of its ease. so sorry. Ease of use with students. My third graders did a huge unit on biographies. And so what we asked them to do is they were supposed to read several different biographies about the same person. And then they had to take that and take all of that information and bring it together and share in 30 seconds the most important things that they learned about their person, their cultural significance, and why they were to be studied. Now, it was also a wonderful opportunity to talk about digital citizenship and utilizing pictures and talk about, there were some students that we gave them the option that they could either take a picture of the front cover of their book, or if the front cover of the book did not give like a good enough mouth, that we would look for a common Creative Commons image that would be utilized, able to be utilized for this particular project. So this is an example of one of my students, Andrew, and his Abraham Lincoln one. We'll see if it plays. If not, I've got the video downloaded for you. Oh, it did not. Hang on just a second, because these are worth seeing.
Hi, I'm Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States. I did not go to school, but slavery was a big deal in my days. We broke into the southern and northern states. I wrote an address to stop slavery, but the southern people did not like it, so they shot me. I died the next day, but it was a memorial for me, just me. I still live on in the world as Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President. Hi, I'm Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the...
He's a third grader. It was important. You know what? They built a monument just to me. It's interesting to see what they highlight and what they pick up for those particular things. So all of our third graders actually created one of those. So all 263 of them. So yeah, they went around and they had to practice, and once again, talk about fluency. They had to practice what it was that they were going to say, and talk about, picking out, we are a Lucy Calkins school, and so we do boxes and bullets, and so talking about reinforcing those boxes and bullets what were the main points that you needed to get across? And so it kind of challenged our students to kind of think about that.
So is it just, did you just email it to your, is it just emailable from?
Well, actually, that's a good question. Okay, so what we did is we had them on our iPads, and we airdropped them to one iPad and created a shared Google folder. And so then we would upload all of the videos to that particular Google folder that was then shareable to the teacher. And then the teachers, that way we didn't have to worry about uploading to YouTube and then downloading and sharing links and stuff like that. We just did it through a shared Google folder. It was the quickest, easiest way for us to go about doing that. So, good question. Another example is actually, and once again, I'm not sure if these will even show. These are two different examples of book summaries. The one on the left is for Among the Hidden, done by actually two of my 4th grade boys. And then The Good Crooks on the left is one that was done by a 3rd grade boy. I'm going to show you the Among the Hidden one. This one, I loved it. It's very subtle. Watch the character right here as he talks.
Among the Hidden is the first book in the Shadow Children series. In the Shadow Children series, 3rd children are illegal, and Luke Gardner, one of the 3rd children, tries to hide. It is full of suspense and adventure. Hope you enjoy it. Among the Hidden is...
So just kind of another example of what the students were asked to do. Now with these, and with a lot of the things, I'm a huge fan of QR codes. And so once again, giving that authentic audience, not only just sharing them with me and then me sharing them with the teacher. The teachers did share them with parents, but we've also created QR codes that we've affixed to the backs of library books. We've put them on displays all across the library so the kids can get the iPads and go and scan and get that book promotion that way. But once again, you know, really truly trying to sell, and you get the sense of what was significant to those students in 30 seconds. You get that snapshot very quickly.
How do your kiddos get the iPad? So they're doing checkout, they can just walk over to the technology center and say an iPad, or?
No. It's a little bit more controlled. We do have times where we'll get the iPads out, and I actually, okay, so at my school district, we're not fully one-to-one with Chromebooks, getting there, but we have a cart of Nexus 7 tablets. We have about 30 of those, and then I have 13 iPads that I was able to scrounge from different places to utilize for different things, and so that's one of those that there are designated times that we get them out. So, good question.
Can you use it on the iPhone or just the iPad?
You know, I've never tried it. I am not sure.
I'm going to try it out.
Okay. The other one, TellEgami. TellEgami is very, very similar. It's this one over here on the right-hand side. Very similar to ChatterPix. Basically, what you do is you, once again, take a picture that you set as a background, but in this, they create a lifelike avatar. So they create a person that they can change the hair color and the eye color and the gender. And, you know, there's certain things with the free version, like they can put clothes and things like that. But once again, they have 30 seconds to then capture and share their images. So, or the things that were most significant to them. So I will go ahead and show you, I think for the sake of time, I might just do Mallory's. It's
The 13th Princess by the Same Solar is about a girl named Zeta. Zeta was a servant until she was one of those beautiful princesses. Unfortunately, she was not treated like one. Then her sisters become extremely sick. She meets new people on her long adventures to save her sisters from death. Will she be able to save her sisters or not? Read The 13th Princess by the Same Solar to find out.
So I had the students take a picture. I'll show you Jackson's too.
Hi, I'm Steve Griffin. When we found the missing gun, my friend Rick and I decided to use the free food find the missing gun. Ricky would be very suspicious. He is carrying a drug that is not letting the kids get. Thinking of it almost over the gun in the ghost direction and checked the VR, but that bar.
that little by. That's, I don't remember who the author is at this point. But, so once again, the beauty of both Chatterpix Kids and TellEgami, I think, is the fact that they are highly engaging. I love the fact that those students who are struggling writers, that yes, although I had them practice and write a script out beforehand and help support the classroom teachers in doing that, it allowed those students who struggle with actually getting their ideas out on the paper, it gave them a different mode to share their ideas. So I think that's like one of the most powerful things about that one. Any questions on Chatterpix and TellEgami before we move on? 30 seconds as well, in the free version. And I'll be honest, I'm not sure how much the paid versions for either one of them are. Like I said, you know, it's great because it forces them to be very succinct. They've got to figure out what are the highlights, what's the important, because how many of you have ever gotten the summary that's like the entire book? You know, like, give me the highlights 20 pages later, you know, so just giving them a different option. The next one I'm choosing to share with you guys is book club discussions, but done in a slightly different format. Those of you who are with me, and my friend Christina in the background is going to laugh at this, but I am a fan of Google Classroom. I think I mentioned it no less than like 15 to 20 times in my first session, and I'm very proud of myself. This is my first time mentioning it now. But I'm a huge fan of Google Classroom for so many different reasons. But one of the things that I love is the ability to capture conversations. And so with Google Classrooms, one of the things that you can do, there is a commenting feature with Google Classrooms. How many of you in here, by the way, use Google Classroom? Awesome. There is the commenting feature, but there's also a feature when you add an assignment where you can create copies for students and you can put in Google Docs for students to collaborate and work on together. And one of the ideas is putting together some different templates for my teachers. You know, once again, I'm working with 2nd through 5th graders, so what I share with the 2nd graders and what I have those teachers do with the students versus what I do with the 5th graders looks vastly different, and even classroom to classroom looks very different. I'm going to show you some examples in a second. But the thing I like about this is one of the best things about reading a book is talking to other people about it. But the problem with classroom discussions is, for those of you who are those reading teachers, trying to get to every single group and listen in, and trying to figure out, okay, did I just not hear that student, or are they not contributing at all? Or is it that, you know, there's somebody who's dominating the conversation versus, you know, those who maybe are sitting back a little bit more quietly? So this whole idea of utilizing Google Classrooms for these book conversations gives voice to those students who maybe don't necessarily want to speak up. So I'm going to kind of show you what I mean by that. So I had a teacher, and one of the things I love about Google Classroom as a teacher librarian is that they added the feature about halfway through last year to invite another teacher. So I am a member of every single Google Classroom in my school as a teacher, so that way I can support my staff in not only creating different things for them, but seeing what the students are doing, helping give feedback to students, because if you are just a student in the classroom, you can't always support that way and give the feedback. So this is an example. One of my teachers, this is Angie Hetzel, she had book clubs going on in her classroom, and so what she did is she created a book club Google Classroom for each of the different books that were going on. And so within that classroom, she then put in the commenting features and things like that. But one of the things that we did that I loved when I was talking about templates, these are some examples. What you have here on the left is one that we designed for 2nd grade students to utilize. When you go into Google Classroom, you can add an assignment, and you can then share those documents with students, and it will automatically put their names on it and all that good stuff, which PS, that's one of my favorite things. But this book club discussion on the left is one that was very, very structured that we put in for the 2nd graders. So they were actually reading books in a series, and so they were supposed to, as a group, have read book 1, And then they journeyed on to book 2 together. And so the conversation was really truly about, okay, what's the similarities and differences between book 1 and book 2, and which ones did you like best, and which ones, why did you like that particular one best, or what was the event that you liked? And so that kind of gave structure to that. The one on the right is actually a free form that Angie and I kind of modified from something else that we had seen. On the left-hand column, that student thinking, students put in a statement or a question or anything that they want to say about their specific reading selection for that particular day. On the right-hand side, and what I cut off of this and what you didn't see is each student picks a color. And across the top, we put which student was which color. And so then, what you're seeing on the right-hand side is each student going in and answering back to their other classmates. And so each of the different colors is a different student. And so then that next one down, you'll see that sixth student then posed a totally different question, and then all the students started to reply. And one of the beautiful things that Angie and I saw was that it gave voice to everybody. She and I kind of stayed out of it completely. We let it be the kids. We let them talk about what they thought was the most important stuff and brought up issues and brought up questions and brought up statements that they thought were powerful, and it was awesome. It was awesome to monitor and to watch. And she and I really, for the most part, didn't say much, didn't do much. Every once in a while we might highlight something and ask a follow-up question that would maybe preempt their thinking, but talk about the power of, when you're talking about book reports and wanting to really truly see if your students are internalizing and understanding what they're reading and really truly owning that was huge. That was a huge, powerful way that was very authentic, but once again was able to help us keep track of, okay, what students are making comments, how often are they commenting, and then, of course, with Google you have the revision history, so you can go back and look, who commented and when did they comment, and what did they say, did they delete anything, that kind of stuff. So that was a huge, powerful thing for us to be able to follow. That once again was an alternative to just having the kids come up and give us rote summaries of what it is that they were reading. Yes?
I have a question, because I use Google Classroom. Do you just do a link to one then? Because it's kind of really hard to do a group.
With this particular one, I think the way that Angie and I had done it, and now there's a new feature, that question and answer feature that we might have to play around with just a little bit, but I think the way we had done this particular one, the one on the right, is we actually put it in as everybody can edit. But it was done within these individual Google Classrooms. So we put one in for the Chains classroom, and we put one in for One Crazy Summer, and we put one in for Diamond in the Desert, and then we're able to monitor that. So, and once again, Google Classroom has the commenting features where you can allow students to interact that way as well. But we liked this, that it was a little bit more organized, and it was a little bit easier for students to follow as well, to be able to kind of follow the conversation and be able to comment back and forth. So, all right, not going too horribly fast, I don't think, but all right. So I'm going to throw in another one that's I love this project, and once again, wonderful opportunities to talk about copyright and digital citizenship and appropriate use of images. Was a huge one. And obviously we are a Google school district, so sometimes you just want to utilize what you've already got. You don't want to necessarily go out and find this new app or download this new app or go to this website. You kind of want to use what the students know and what you're comfortable with. So these 6-word summaries are actually utilizing Google Slides. And the idea is that the students have to choose a background. But once again, like I said, it was a wonderful opportunity to have a conversation with students about searching fair use images, and that you couldn't just pull images from anywhere, and having that whole conversation and putting them into these presentations. But once the students have chosen the image that they feel represents the essence of their particular book, they then have 6 words to be able to share the biggest idea of their particular book. And so once again, they have to then defend why they chose what they chose. Not necessarily giving a summary, but really truly defending why they chose that particular image and those particular words. And so here are some examples of that. This was Babe and Me by Dan, I had to laugh, I loved it, but Dan Gutman. Cars, the Key to History. And so then the student talked about the power of that, because have you guys ever read any of that series? Okay. The idea that, you know, they get these baseball cards that they go back in time. So that was an example. Another one, Sisters, the graphic novel, is extremely popular amongst my students. 2 sisters, way too much fighting. So I kind of shared some of the ideas behind that one. One of the things I had asked for the students is to share, because I was going to be sharing these with other students, to share the title and the author of the particular book. This next one didn't, but I thought it was pretty awesome. This one, I want to see if any of you know which one this is. 9 Camps, I Survived Them All.
Prisoner
Nice, good job. That's exactly the one it was. The Prisoner B3087.
Yeah.
So, and once again, you know, talking about, and students had to defend why they chose the pictures that they did. They had to share what it was, why they chose those 6 words that they did. And once again, kind of sharing, capturing their ideas. Yeah, that's probably one of my favorite, like, easy ones. But you can't even imagine how much kids contemplate what image they're going to choose. And finding that perfect one that captures exactly that essence of their book, and then those 6 words. They're like, can't I just use one more? Nope. You have 6 words. So it was it's awesome. Now, of course, there's a couple other, you know, I'm always like looking for the next idea of what do I want to try next. And so I am going to share a couple things, other ideas that I'm working on. So sorry. One of the things that I'm working on, I adore ThingLink. Anybody ever utilize ThingLink? Okay. Basically, once again, you take an image, and what happens is you add touch points to your image that can be anything. Text, videos, websites, you know, website links, all that kind of stuff. So once again, allowing students to go above and beyond their understanding of the book, beyond just that basic summary. And so we'll see if, I think I have this pulled up actually already.
Is ThingLink kind of like Blogster used to be? Blogster used to blog for free.
Well, there's other ones out there like Prezi and things like that. I mean, it's a little bit different. So, no. And so there are, well, but if you're in that older audience, and there are some that, there are pros and cons to some of them. This one, I like ThingLink because of its ease of use. I sometimes struggled with Prezi myself, even as an adult, sometimes navigating and making it like do all the things that I wanted to do. So sometimes that idea of rolling it out to students was a bit intimidating just because of that idea of that ease of use for kids. And so ThingLink, basically you take a picture, but what happens is when you hover over it, you add these touch points. And so with these different touch points, for example, this is just a quick one. This is one I actually created. I have not full-on done this with students yet. But for example, here, I created a touch point that was my review. And so I typed in my text of exactly what it was that, you know, I captured from this particular book. I put a link into an author biography, which then students could then go in and click on. Here on the Newbery Award, not only did I put in a link to what the Newbery Award was, but then I wrote a little summary of why I thought this book did deserve the Newbery Award. So kind of defended what it was about this particular book, which, yes, anybody read this one, the crossover? Mm-hmm. I mean, it's fantastic. But once again, talking about why it was worthy of winning, just throwing that idea out there. And then this one, If you haven't read this book, it's a poetic novel about a young kid named Josh. He's a twin, and basketball is his life. And so I actually found, a link that had all of these great basketball quotes, and so talked about the basketball quotes that I would have picked for Josh that I really truly believed would be his, captured his essence, his belief of the importance of the game of basketball. So once again, this is something that I haven't rolled out with kids yet, but it's kind of my next step, something I would love to do with my students. Maybe not my second graders yet. We'll get adventurous later, but another one, kind of watching the time. So my colleague has a green screen, and I love and adore that he aids and abets my every whim. And when I go, hey, I got a new one. Have you ever stared at a nice guy? We need to record. I have created quite a few videos, kind of not trailers. I've done trailers with students, but this is a little bit more, that book talk, but captured on video. I would like to explore that with students just a little bit more using our green screen. And so this is one, we actually ran a summer reading Google Classroom. And as part of that, a bunch of staff members and I had created videos that we put in. So this is just an example of one that we utilized using the green screen. I've seen the groups of stars called constellations, and ever wondered where they got their names or what the story is behind them? Well, one of these books, the Kids' Book of the Night Sky at the Titan Hill Library, will tell you all of the stories about all of these different constellations. Make sure you check it out, and other books about the stars and the planets at the Titan Hill Library. So just another example, but that's something that I would love to explore with my students, is actually having them create that, utilizing our green screen capabilities at our school to be able to promote some of the books that they're interested in reading. Some other ideas, some that I've explored myself and done myself, and some that I'd be interested in knowing if any of you have explored, but blogging, and kind of circling back to that whole talk about Destiny. My card catalog system, Destiny, does have that capability for student reviews. So that's something that I would like to add in, so that students, when they click on that particular book, that they can see what other students at Titan Hill have said about it. I would like to actually put some of our book reviews on our Titan Hill Library webpage. I've got a couple students that I kind of watched as fourth graders and kind of looked at, what types of things that they were able to do as writers, and so kind of looking at some examples for that. Book trailers. I have used both iMovie and WeVideo to create book trailers with students. Both of them I think are great. I just didn't want to necessarily focus on them. They are a little bit more labor intensive. The ones I chose to share with you today are a little bit less labor intensive. WeVideo has now kind of gone the route of having to be paid, and then iMovie, it's great, but only if you have the accessibility to it at your school district. Prezis, if you've got other virtual poster ideas. And then of course, oh, so sorry. We are at a tech conference, but there's always the non-tech ideas. There's always all sorts of things that you can do to have your students share and to capture what they are loving about what they're reading beyond just that basic summary. So with that, those are kind of my highlights, the big ones that I am loving. I do want to share with you, so I put together this Google Doc that I would love for you guys to share what it is that you're doing. Learn from each other, have that opportunity. So when you open it, basically it's just kind of a template, name or contact if you're willing to share it, if you've got an email or a Twitter account that you're willing to share with other people in case they have questions, in case they see what you've done and are like, oh gosh, that's awesome. Okay, I need more information. What it is that you're doing, examples if you're willing to share, links to things of your actual examples that you've done with students, and then links if you've got it supporting any sort of like tutorial videos or websites or anything that you utilize to help support you as an educator in creating all of these book report opportunities for your students. I I love it, thank you. That's the best part, is learning from each other. So as people are kind of filling that out, I mean, please definitely make sure that you go back and visit that several times over the next couple days and just kind of see if anybody's added anything. But at this point, I kind of want to turn it over to you guys if there's any questions that you have, if there's anything that I kind of briefly skipped over that you're like, okay, circle back. I've got a question now.
Okay, so your iPad, was that the chat?
Mhm.
So you aired out from all the one iPad.
Mhm.
And then from there, how'd you get it?
Within
Email straight to your little email?
With the iPad, you can log in to Google, and then you just have that shared folder that you just put them into. All right, I'll kind of like. Oh yes, sorry.
It just doesn't work on your iPad.
Nice. Okay, I had never experimented on my iPhone, but apparently Chatterpix Kids does work on your iPhone as well. So, see, always learning something new. I did quite a bit, but they changed some of how they did things in requiring students to have like emails and stuff, and there's that whole process of creating dummy emails and stuff like that. That it, quite frankly, in my opinion, became cumbersome.
Right.
So, yes, I utilized it in the past. I still have my own personal account that I use quite a bit, but not with students.
Maybe I'll add that. I just had teachers create one account, and then they can have their own students and the student's name there, so the kids only have their teacher's email and the teacher's password, and they can go in and create it on that. So again, it eliminates that.
Yeah. Like I said, it became cumbersome. It didn't used to be. It used to be pretty easy to do. I don't know if you heard the conversation. We were talking about Animoto. If any of you want something like that. All right, well, then that, I'll stick around for just a second. So glad you guys came, and I'm proud of myself that I only mentioned Google Classroom, that one portion, But if you want to know my true deep love, shameless plug, you'll see me tomorrow, I'll be talking about Google Classroom.